Hey guys, and today I'll be showing you guys how I wrap my badminton racket grips. As you can see here on my Astrox 100ZX, the grip is dilapidated. This needs to be redone ASAP. I've got two main ways of wrapping a grip. The first way is on the Dura Z Strike. As you can see on the grip, it is quite level, quite flat, so it's quite comfortable to hold. But the downside to this way of wrapping is that it's less grippy. So if you sweat a lot, it's more likely to fly out your hand. This is the Astrox 88S. It's a fantastic racket. And on this grip, it's a little bit older, so there's a bit of discoloration. But as you can see, it is slightly ribbed. So that allows you to have better grip onto your actual grip. But it's not as comfortable to hold, and it doesn't look as nice. Both ways is fine. It just depends on what you prefer. And actually, the beauty of doing this way of gripping that I'm about to show you is that you can actually test whether you want to do the ribbed way or the flat way first, and you could just adjust it accordingly. So you really need just three things. Of course, your racket, and here's a grip. This is the Yonex AC102EX Super Grip, and the reason I choose this grip is because it's durable, it's super sticky, and it's comfortable. I sweat a lot when I play, especially during the summers, and this is one of those PU grips that doesn't really slip out your hand. I know it's slightly more pricey than the other grips on the market, but when you compare the length of time that you can actually use it for, it works out to be basically the same price or cheaper depending on conditions and the wear and tear on it. Last thing is a pair of scissors. So some ways of wrapping a grip, you don't need scissors. The reason I'm using scissors is to allow you to tailor when you want to finish the grip. So I'll show you this method of doing it. It's slightly unconventional, but I'll explain why I do certain steps along the way. Let's go. First of all, I'd like to mention this racket, like most of my other rackets, are G5 grip size. G5 is a smaller grip size than G4, and actually I recommend to most people, if they have the choice between the two, to select G5. And the reason for that is that a smaller grip size allows you to have the flexibility to make it bigger if you want, by adding additional layers of grip. But with an already large G4 grip size, you can't exactly make it smaller. You can't shave off the wood. And plus, by adding more and more layers of grip, it makes it more comfortable. So first, I'm just going to undo the packaging on the grip. There's some sellotape on it, and usually on this tape layer, I deal with this first. So you have this part, which is quite sticky, and I just stick it on the shaft, just to keep it there. And then later on, if I need to remove it, I could just peel it off like that. So I'll leave that to the side. And then for the rest of the grip, I have to first unravel it. And then there's this plastic layer, which is quite annoying to deal with, that you have to peel back. This is probably the worst part of doing a grip, just this layer. There you go. Okay, so you've got two ways of starting a grip, right? Either you start it on this end, or you start it on the blunt end. And this way that I'm about to do it is the unconventional method. I'm actually going to start on the sharp end. So I unpeel the adhesive and I start with a 45-degree angle to the racket, like this. The racket's in my left hand, I'm using my right hand to start it off. And you can see where I first place the grip, which is right on the corner of it. And on the bottom layer, this is probably the most critical part alongside the top of the racket, because this is what holds it all together. So I go one circular motion around it, and then I keep my thumb on the point where it reaches a full circle. And then I tilt it down to begin my angle. And I did mention that you have the choice to make it flat or ribbed. Depending on your choice, you can complete your grip whatever way you want. If you don't like it, you could just go back. So if I want it more ribbed, then I'll tilt the angle down a bit more. So when I wrap it, obviously it would have a bit more overlap on one another. You can see, right? There's more overlap. I'm just doing it really quickly here. And oh, you can feel it when you do a bit more. If you like it, you can keep going. If not, you could just go back. So if you want it to be a bit more flat, then you just make the angle where you start here less sharp. And when you do that, you can see there's less ribbed patterns happening on your grip, as you can see. In addition, there's one point that I'd like to bring out. If you want your grip to be thinner and you have a bit more close contact with the feel of your racket, or you just want the grip to be even flatter, then you could just pull it quite hard and stretch it out. But make sure to do that evenly, otherwise it's going to look really weird. For this way of gripping right now, I'm not going to stretch it out. I'm going to be going for a semi-ribbed pattern to allow for some grip. So I'm going to go back to the start. I'm going to go angled down in this manner. Like go forward. One thing I like to point out is one tip to help you gauge how far you need to stretch the grip down is to just focus on the line that's happening right before the last grip roll, for example here. And I try and keep it the same distance between this point and this point. And if I just do that, then the grip will end up more and more even. I'm putting one layer of grip on top of the bottom layer because I want to have a decently large grip size, and also it's just softer and more cushioned. Don't be afraid to take your time when doing a grip, because the grip will last you a very, very long time, and if it's comfortable, it's going to not bother you when you play, and you could focus a bit more on your matches and your training. So as you can see, I keep the beveled edges about this distance from each other to get this ribbed pattern. And the ribbed pattern isn't extremely ribbed, this is like semi-level. If you want more, you can just angle it more down in the beginning. So I have completed most of the grip up until the point where the grip starts to become a cone, and this requires a change in technique, only a small change. You actually need to pull slightly harder to stretch the grip and make it thinner in order for it to feel a bit more even. So from this point onwards, I'm going to apply more pressure. And whilst I grip, notice I'm using this finger to hold the pressure whilst I lift up the grip. And you would feel that the higher you go up, you need to pull harder and harder when the cone gets narrower. And when you get to around the top, pull extra hard to thin out the grip. You may be thinking, oh, the grip ends here, so why did I go higher than that? Okay, so after pulling hard, what you want to do is, you get your pair of scissors, be careful then, and make a small indentation in the grip to mark the line where you want it to end. Just a rough line, like this. And then you want to unravel the grip. You can see roughly where the line is. It's not very, very clear, but you would be able to see it roughly where it is. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to simply make a rough cut along that edge. It doesn't have to be super precise, to be fair, because you're going to be covering it up with tape. Oh, okay. So as you can see, I cut the grip like this and have this sharper part down. Now you're just going to go back and fix this part of the grip because now it's become loose. Notice how I changed the way I hold the racket as well on the top part of the frame, and that's to actually help me get a bit more tension to pull the grip through, to make it a bit more seamless. So as you can see now, I've completed the grip all the way to the top. So now all I need to do is just finish it. And remember, I stuck it on the shaft where it's easy to access. I just use one hand to pull it down. Sometimes it may be sticking to itself a little bit, but it's not a problem. And also I faced it the correct way up, like this. So all I need to do is just lift with one hand, place it on top of the grip, where the end is, and using my fingers to guide it around, like edge the tape forward. Careful not to pull too hard because these tapes stretch and snap very, very easily. You just kind of want to feed it through. So that's it. This is your ribbed grip. Every single grip would have different imperfections, but as long as it feels comfortable and it matches your play style, that's the ideal way to do it for you. Some people have smaller preferences, such as making a wider base to stop the racket slipping out the hand, but the problem with that is it changes the balance of your racket. And personally, I do not like to do that. And this ribbed pattern is enough to give a good hold on the racket. One additional point is that the reason for setting up the grip so high up all the way to the top of the cone is to allow you to be able to shift up and down the racket depending on how you're playing. So you may notice a lot of pro players, when they're defending or they're at the front of the court, they hold their rackets higher, on the cone at times as well. So by having a comfortable grip on there, you have good grip and connection with the racket, and you're not just touching the bare metal of the control cap. And by having an even feel all the way to the bottom, by stretching out the top cone area, when you're shifting, it just feels super seamless. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope it was helpful. Let me know which one you prefer, the flat grip method or the ribbed grip method. Also, keep in touch with me on Instagram at ken_casaputra. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel with post notifications on, new uploads every single Sunday. Hey guys, and today I'll be showing you how I wrap my badminton rackets. As you can see, I've got my axe shot. I said axe shot.